Welcome back to Collider Movie Talk. On today's show, we've got another big topic up top today. Disney reportedly is not happy with how Fox has performed this year. Then after that, we are talking about the brand new trailer for Greta Gerwig's Little Women adaptation that, of course, stars Saoirse Ronan and Emma Watson, amongst many, many others that we're very excited to see in that film. And today, I have the pleasure of going through that lineup with Haleigh Foutch and John Rocha. Haleigh, I would ask how you are doing, but I'm doing great because we just had a wonderful chat with Radio Silence about Ready or Not, so I assume you're feeling pretty good too.
Yeah, I'm right on that same level. It helps to know how I'm doing when we just spent like 2 hours together.
Yep. And are you still on the Good Boys high, Rocha?
I am. I'm glad you guys finally caught up. I talked to Radio Silence a week ago, so thanks. So there you go. There you go.
I approve of that jab right there. I like it. All right. This first story today is a big one. Let's just jump right into it. A lot of points to hit right now. As reported by Variety, 20th Century Fox received its first quarter grades from Disney, during which Disney chief executive Bob Iger declared that the Fox studio performance was well below where it had been and well below where we hoped it would be when we made the acquisition. Apparently, Disney chief financial officer Christine McCarthy broke the news to investors that Disney's per-share stock price and revenue projections were off, and Disney's higher-ups pinned much of the failure on Fox's film division. Oh my, I don't even know where to begin with this. No. What about just like the general idea of Disney blaming these finance issues on the Fox film division in particular, especially right after we got reports, and I'm just bringing up one example, that Galaxy's Edge didn't open as big as they expected, so why are they specifically pointing a finger at Fox film right now?
It sounds to me like this is classic business stuff. Once they take over something, in order to mask the fact that they had plans all along to go in there and put their own people in charge, they create these fake scenarios or fake narratives that these films didn't perform, therefore we have to put our own people in to take over these departments. That's what it feels like to me. I mean, Fox just got here, and it was movies like Dark Phoenix and these other films that weren't, like Stuber, these weren't going to be blowing up at the box office, so to pin the blame on the Fox film division to me seems like a Trojan horse a little bit, that they're just trying to throw something in there, but it's really hollow, a very hollow claim because they have ulterior motives behind it.
I'm not really following that whatsoever as it's presented in the article, because it flip-flops back and forth. At first, it's like, oh, well, all these Fox movies, they bombed at the box office. And later on in the piece, Variety points out that finished Fox films are having a tough time getting Disney support. So how could Disney ever expect one of those films to do well if it's getting like, half of a marketing campaign?
No, I mean, I agree to a certain extent with what you said about sort of Trojan horsing it. And I was spinning my little conspiracy theory before we went on the air, but I do think there's something to the idea that if you don't provide that classic Disney marketing support, not that they didn't have the timeline to do their full rollout that we all know. But if you don't provide the version of that you can then say, well, you're failing, so we're just going to make the movies that we make, and you're a new arm to make more of them.
Another thing to add to that pile is that the full Fox marketing team isn't even there anymore. Right. So you also are in a situation where you have a whole bunch of people promoting a movie that haven't been with the movie all along.
This is what they call rigging the results. I mean, because they removed all the people from the Fox marketing team who were familiar with Dark Phoenix, who, maybe it wouldn't have translated to more, but at least you gave yourself a better opportunity to make money. They replaced with people who didn't know the film that well, didn't know how to market it. And to be fair, I want to make this analogy correct, it's not their babies. And so they're not going to put the extra effort into it because they didn't build it, they didn't create it, they didn't film it, they didn't shepherd it along the way. So they're just going to push it out there and hope it fails so they can push their narrative forward and say, oh, we need to replace all these people in charge other than Emma Watts, obviously, so that they can take over this area and then look like saviors of Fox. It's ridiculous.
That is extremely upsetting.
Yeah, and it's not this is not conspiracy. This happens in business all the time with takeovers. All the time. I've been through it twice in my life as an employee. I've seen it. They come in, take over, they create narratives that you're not doing as well. The efficiency is bad, even though they knew that when they purchased it, and they don't give you enough time to turn it around and then blame you for it and then move people in. It happens.
So given what we have just been talking about right now and bringing New Mutants into the conversation, the little bit on the Variety article regarding New Mutants is the studio is unimpressed with New Mutants, an X-Men spinoff with a haunted house vibe, and believes it has limited box office potential. Pair that comment with what we just discussed. So is this essentially putting the nail in the coffin for New Mutants? It's not going to get any support at all?
I've been on the train for a while now that I think it's probably going to streaming. I think that's the best play for it. And that I can't even be mad at. Like, if I was Disney, that's what I would do. There's clearly people are kind of like a little kaput on this X-Men franchise in general. This film has been put through the ringer. Expectations from audiences is probably pretty low on it. There's not going to be like this big heat buzz going into the opening weekend. So business-wise, I totally get it. I would absolutely put that on streaming. It doesn't make sense to drown it in money when you know that it's just not. It's a dead franchise, essentially. It's a remnant of something that's gone.
All right, a follow-up for that comes from the live chat right now, because SEO Toy Story Review is asking, if they don't put it out, it's a total loss. Isn't a flop better?
Not necessarily, because you lose all the marketing money you put into it. Then you lose, paying to put it out in certain media. Then you have to create like a Blu-ray for it and a DVD, like all that stuff. There's all kinds of expenses that are in the back end once you release a movie officially, right? And if you just eat the cost and move on and maybe revisit the property down the road, great. But what's confusing to me here is, were there news reports a few weeks ago that they went back and spent the money to, and they're going to bring back the actors to do some reshoots? Remember I forget who it was that said, like, that's the difference between Fox and Marvel. Marvel got it done quick to bring back all the people for the reshoots. And you're like, why are we doing this if you're not happy with it?
It's been next to impossible to follow all those reshoot rumors. So I don't know what was true anymore. Yeah. But given this report and the fact that Variety is a trusted source, I'm looking at it as it's a done deal. All the hope I've had for New Mutants all along is completely out the window.
I could see it getting a limited theatrical I don't know. But if you're putting it on streaming, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, you can do limited with VOD where you're purchasing the film. A lot of places do that at the same time.
Yeah.
But I don't know about limited and streaming. Everyone would just stream it.
I guess that is a possible path. It's just, like, maybe this is just me looking at, big Disney and none of the smaller films within it, if there are any smaller films at this point. But I've just never seen them go with that kind of release platform before.
No, I haven't either.
It's like the odds of them doing it feel so slim to me.
I think you're right. I think I was being optimistic.
Oh, I like that, Haleigh. It feels risky to ask this question, but I'm going to right now. Bruce Crawford wants to know, would you rather see New Mutants or The Hunt released in theaters?
The Hunt. Absolutely. That's just more my type of movie anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess The Hunt, because I'm not a fan of censorships. I'm a fan of the free market and capitalism. And you put something out, if no one goes to it, that's a free market. It wasn't for their taste, and it failed on its own. Something like New Mutants, I think, is just whipping a dead horse, and I don't like to see that in a theater.
Also, I don't, not to retread yesterday's conversation too much, but like, The Hunt is a very timely film that I'm very hungry to see, and I want to see it now because it relates to now. It's of now, and I think that's when it will have the most impact as a viewer. And I understand that maybe we'll see it later, and it'll still probably be pretty good. Look, I believe in Lindelof. I think it's going to be good.
It's a good cast, that's for sure.
It's a great cast, and I got to see the first episode of Watchmen, which is going to be another whole ass deal. It was at TCA.
You had to say that, didn't you?
Had to kill us on the set.
Sorry. I just mean that's a very also timely political show. I can't say anything about it, but you can read the interviews out of TCA and know that it's gonna.
Cool.
That's gonna be a scene too. Yeah. So having seen that, I really am curious about The Hunt. And there was a report today that Universal actually was gonna pull it before the tweets from Trump. So that's an interesting spin on things that we didn't get to talk about yesterday. Yeah. That it's still the same scenario though to me, which is, give me this movie. I want it, and I want it in the time when it was meant to be received by the audience, And
it's mind-blowing. Like, saying they were going to pull it before the tweets. It's like, well, how do you read the script, to be there for the dailies, see the cuts, all this kind of jazz, because they screen it all for executives. I know we're going to talk about Jojo Rabbit here in a second, but they screen it for executives. And so you look at that and you go, then finally now at the end, you go, you know what, we were going to pull it anyway. And it just seems PR.
Like the addition I would say to that is they say that it's because of the recent shootings, but that's not a new phenomenon.
Yeah, right.
That was obviously happening when the film was made.
It's our 251st shooting in this country.
Awesome.
I'm just saying.
No, I didn't know that number.
Yeah, it is. Anything 4 or more is considering 250 is a mass shooting. So you're nitpicking by saying this is the reason we didn't put this out.
It's curious. It's a curious scenario, and I guess I'm eager to talk about it because we are going to talk about Jojo Rabbit. And
we do have to bring that into this conversation.
The importance of films that make people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I support them, and I want them in theaters.
Do you remember the 70s, people?
Right.
Anyway.
So the Jojo Rabbit portion of this Disney Fox conversation is that, Fox Searchlight is still up and running, and Jojo Rabbit is a very interesting, bold movie that we're going to get to see really soon. It's debuting at TIFF this year. But in Variety's report, they do say that a Disney executive got the opportunity to see the movie because they are screening the movie over there right now, and this executive grew audibly uncomfortable, worrying aloud that the material would alienate Disney fans. His unease may have been over the film's cutting-edge satire, but was also an expression of the culture clash taking place as the two studios embark on their new union. Ooh. Wow, that is, I don't know, like not sibling rivalry, but like something where you're forced to live together and it's just not going to happen. So it sounds like the bigger one of the two is just going to steamroll the other eventually.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is so upsetting, and I've always been cool with what Disney does because I love many of their films.
Right.
I haven't been blown away by a lot of 2019's releases. I wasn't a fan of Lion King. I was not a fan of Aladdin. But in general, I enjoy their very commercial, broad appeal films. They appeal to me as well. Mm-hmm. However, that is only enjoyable when it is part of the spectrum of films that we're getting in theaters. When that becomes, or even on VOD, whatever, when that becomes like, what is it? I don't know how much it's going to be, but when they finally work out their full Fox lineup and their Disney lineup, I was just updating our Disney release dates article. Like, that's so much of the release calendar that if they pursue this line is just going to be the same type of film.
It is
much less appealing in that number.
Yeah.
So alarming to me. If Jojo, I mean, I do wonder what would happen, though, because Jojo Rabbit, and they say this in the Variety article, too, it is also likely to be on the awards circuit this year. So what if we have Disney executives who are concerned about alienating existing Disney fans, but then we also have this Fox Searchlight movie that winds up with Oscar nominations? Then what does Disney do?
Well, this is something I was going to bring up, is that Fox Searchlight is a killer at awards circuits. They are always bringing A-game talent to awards. They're always in the conversation. Why is Disney not interested in awards? Because that's one of like the top studios to look to and go, something from Fox Searchlight will end up on the awards circuit this year. It's almost a guarantee.
And I also think that report is so dangerous when you hear that, because you're like, well, if Disney is responsible for 60% of the stuff that we have coming out now, which is a guesstimation of what they're saying, well, if we're going to start this report kind of leads into this idea that a lot of film goers get worried about, is the Disney-fying of these films or these subjects. And you start to go like, well, we can't all just be touchy-feely. There's really some tough underbelly stuff that we have to explore and find out about. The entire 70s decade of films, great films that the film industry is built on, and filmmakers are inspired to go make films because of, was about exploring the underbelly of our institutions. And we start eliminating that because an executive is uncomfortable in a screening, then we are losing one of the most important parts of film, which is to show us and hold a mirror up to our society and show us some of the uncomfortable truths. If it becomes an issue to start doing that with this medium, I think this medium starts to lose a lot of its power from the foundation up, and that's scary.
Now, to read 2 more points from this article that make it even worse. So, Fox Vice Chairman Emma Watts' priorities will be Avatar and delivering Steven Spielberg's reboot of West Side Story. The piece also says Disney is prioritizing making more broadly commercial projects, which include ongoing work on sequels to James Cameron's Avatar and starry safe bets like the on-screen reunion of Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in the drama The Last Duel. A Matt Damon and Ben Affleck reunion sounds great to me. You know what sounds like the worst idea ever? A starry safe bet.
Yeah.
I don't think any kind of descriptor will make me cross a movie off a list any quicker. I don't want to see safe movies.
Well, and you're talking about the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon one,
yes.
right? This is confusing to me. Jojo Rabbit makes you uncomfortable, but the premise of this film about a guy raping his friend's wife while he's at war doesn't make you uncomfortable? What are we talking about?
It
Pretty
feels like
cozy.
a weird time to use that phrase there.
Certainly. And, that is the choice of the writer of the article, not necessarily how Disney themselves are describing that
I
project.
also do think that the safe bet was strictly like, well, if it's got Matt Damon and it's got Ben Affleck, that's a safe bet for a moneymaker.
It's unfortunate phrasing, though.
Which is also upsetting in a way that we haven't even discussed. If they are looking at people like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon as safe bets, does that mean they are going to close the door to new upcoming folks, whether it's filmmakers or people in front of the camera, which they've actually proven not to be true with how they're casting some of these really big budget live action reimaginings. So I guess there is a little bit of an encouraging spot there.
Some of the saddest things in that article, though, to me, of many sad things, were some of the projects that were lost, specifically for me, Lumberjanes, which is a comic series that I absolutely adore and have been waiting so long to see on screen, and now apparently that's over. And I hope Noelle Stevenson will take that and shop it somewhere else. But the unfortunate thing is that there aren't a lot of other places to shop that stuff right now. I mean, I've always been scared by this deal, and I think that as we see how it falls out and is continuing to change things, that it just gets scarier and scarier.
It's even scarier that we're seeing such immediate results from it, or an immediate negative response from this merger happening, because what was the merger complete in March of this year? This is just think about the repercussions 2 or 3 years from now when the entire landscape and release calendar has changed. Oh, doom and gloom on Movie Talk. I don't like it. That's why I'm going to tell you about some really exciting content on Collider Video. Check out this promo for Collider Heroes.
Hi, I'm Coy Jandro, host of Collider Heroes, and I'm here to tell you we've got 20-minute episodes coming at you on Collider Video on the YouTube as you've always loved it. Plus, now we've got hour-long podcasts dropping every Thursday, so make sure to subscribe to the podcast because it's going to get even more sweaty on the podcast. Plus, every week we're going to try to get some very special guest interviews, all of the people that help shape these movies and TV shows you love. So, video, podcast, interviews, all coming at you. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much, guys. Stay sweaty.
We also have to tell you about a really cool upcoming episode of The Witching Hour, and I'm going to let my co-host Haleigh Foutch take that one.
Yeah, come see us up in Washington this weekend. We are doing our first live podcast at the North Bend Film Festival with filmmaker Jennifer Reeder, who has Knives and Skin playing there. That film's been making the festival rounds and kind of picking up some buzz. And mostly I'm just excited to do a live podcast with my lady Perri here.
I can't wait.
And it's such a cool film festival. It's only the second year. I was there for the first year last year, and it's just a really exciting collection of artists and cinema that kind of, it takes place in the town where Twin Peaks was filmed, and that's kind of the vibe of art that they're trying to embrace there.
Well, we're going to come back from the North Bend Film Festival with that audio, so even if you can't be there in the audience, keep an eye on the factory feed because we're going to share all that good stuff from North Bend real soon with everybody. All right, story number 2. We have very little time to cover it, but that first topic was worth it. All right, Sony Pictures released the first trailer for Little Women, Greta Gerwig's adaptation of the iconic novel that charts the lives of 4 sisters from childhood to adulthood. This new version, of course, stars Emma Watson, Saoirse Ronan, Florence Pugh, Eliza Scanlon, and Timothée Chalamet, and then some others too. Briefly, guys, what'd you guys think of the Little Women trailer? Did you like it?
Sure.
Yeah. I will say
so enthusiastic. Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. As the only male on this panel, I will say it's obviously not meant for me, but I will say this. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was, if you're going to tell this old story that's been already filmed a number of times in the history of film, you got to find a new approach to it. And kudos to Greta Gerwig. This looks like a vibrant, fun, interesting film with obviously some 2019 themes and approaches to performances and acting and styles and all of that. So I liked it and I enjoyed it. And I damn, if I get a screening, I guess I'll go. I had no interest in it. Then I saw the trailer. I'm like, this actually might be fun.
I was pleasantly surprised by the trailer because I'm not that into period pieces, and also I only read Little Women in high school because I was a bad reader when I was younger. But I watched a trailer like this, and it had a really unique energy and vibe to it that I wasn't quite expecting. It just made me look at it and think that, yes, I know this has been adapted before, and it's been read by many out there many a times, but this looks like it's got at least a fresh feel. I obviously don't know if she's going to stick beat to beat to whatever because I haven't read it in completion. This is so embarrassing. I should listen to the audiobook. But I don't know if it sticks exactly to the source material, but this feels like it has a unique vibe to it, specific to Greta Gerwig as a director, and I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I have period piece blindness. I kind of pass out when I try to watch them, and it looks nice. The cast is great. I'm excited to see what Greta and Saoirse do together again, because that was a really compelling performance that they drew out in Lady Bird. I always love to see Timmy C doing his thing, lighting up the Twitters with all the people are passionate out there, man. Passionate about Timmy C and passionate about Little Women in a way that I didn't know was quite as fervent.
It was really all over the place today.
Yeah, it looks good. It's hard for me to get enthusiastic because I pass out when I watch them.
Hey, we all have our preferences, understandable,
exactly.
And who knows? That's the exciting thing about a movie like this is maybe you see it and maybe it turns you onto this style of movie like you've never experienced before.
I would love if this ended up on my top 10 list, I love surprises if I can stay awake.
We'll get a sense of whether or not that'll happen December 25th when this one hits theaters. All right, let's get to some live chat right now. How about this one from King and Commoner? What do you think of the Dolomite trailer? Is Eddie Murphy still worth seeing a movie for? I actually didn't get the chance to watch it. Did either of you?
Yeah, I did. I tweeted about it yesterday. I think it looks great. Looks like so much fun. Great cast all around. Wesley Snipes. He's playing Eddie's playing the Rudy Ray Moore. This is a real story. This is a true story. This is a blaxploitation film that was shot there, and his story about how he got there. And it feels like an underdog story too, about a guy trying to make his dreams come true late in life. And so there's so much around that it's got great humor, but it's also got a nice heart to it, and you got a great cast. So I hope it works out. Eddie needs a hit. Eddie needs a hit, and I would love this to be kind of giving us a taste for Coming to America 2 coming soon as well.
All right, just in case this isn't his next hit,
we
have a comment from the live chat. Just wait for it, and I just want your initial reactions. I'm not going to ask you a question, anything. I'm just going to say it and look at you. Ready for it? Josh Quick says, Eddie Murphy should be Wolverine.
Why?
I don't know.
That's so compelling.
I don't know.
I can't picture it, but I would love to hear the pitch.
I just want to see Wolverine laughing at Professor X like Eddie does.
All right, here's one last question, and we'll close it out with this one. Kozak12517 is asking, what are you most looking forward to at TIFF this year? We were actually going over some of the genre stuff today, and what was some of the ones we were talking about? Synchronic, right? That was a big one. Very excited to see that one. We had the filmmakers behind The Endless on A Witching Hour recently, and excited to see what else they bring.
Excuse you. That was not a witching hour. That was just an interview that inspired the witching hour. We owe them the witching hour. Benson and Moorhead stands here.
Having a moment right now.
But you know what I mean.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
I can't. That makes that feel so long ago.
I know,
can't handle it. I can't picture a world anymore where Witching Hour doesn't exist.
Oh, I love that. But yeah, that one looks
my
so
TIFF
cool.
list here. So I was telling Haleigh earlier, I was coming up with my TIFF must-see list, and I mean, it's down to the floor. It's something like 40 movies deep right now, which is hugely problematic. But I have obviously isolated Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Knives Out, Ford v Ferrari, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Oh, that's only 5. Guns Akimbo. I have to point that one out. Have any of you ever seen Deathgasm? Have you ever seen Deathgasm? You should watch it. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
it's just wild. There's nothing like it out there. Oh my God, what else? I don't want to go through this whole list, but like how to build a girl, Hustlers, The Vast of Night. There's so much stuff at TIFF. I just like my brain is exploding with the possibilities and how I am going to possibly cram it all into 1 week in Toronto.
I hope you get sent screeners.
I'm schwitzing already just thinking about it. Well, whatever I miss on the midnight lineup, hopefully they'll put on the Fantastic Fest lineup.
Fingers crossed.
What is your most anticipated so far for Fantastic Fest?
Oh, gosh. I mean, Jojo Rabbit's hard to not be hyped about. And it's like, it's not confirmed, but I feel confident that Synchronic will be there because those guys love Fantastic Fest and Fantastic Fest loves them. But let's not count our eggs before they're hatched.
Okay.
But I'm putting that into the universe. Make it happen. I want to see that movie there. I'm trying to think what else really stood out to me in that lineup, because they're always, the joy of Fantastic Fest is a lot of it is going, not knowing what anything is, and then being like, what did I just watch? This is my new favorite movie.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why, like, when we go to TIFF, we stay for a really long time, and I feel like it's super busy the first 5 days of the trip, but then the last 3 days, it's when you can catch up on, like last year, Green Book screened really early, and everyone was, praising it, and it wasn't on my radar at all, and that's the opportunity to then circle back and catch those ones that, have buzz that spark in the middle of the festival, and also just to use those time slots to say, well, I've got nothing to do at 2:00 on Thursday. What's playing then? I'm just going to see whatever's there. That's one of the most exciting things to me.
I agree. I mean, there are some that are like, of course I'm going to see the Netflix films, and of course I'm excited to see In the Tall Grass. It's another Stephen King adaptation. Why would I not be?
I'm so curious about that one.
Yes, of course I'm excited to see Brad Anderson return with Fractured. That's overdue. What's it going to be like? But it's the ones that I don't know about yet that I'm most excited to come back and talk about.
Can I put you on the spot right now, Rocha?
Yeah,
Can we sell you on any single title just now?
I just phased out. You guys were talking about all the things you're going to do.
I knew you did.
You know what I'll be doing? I'll be hosting Movie Talk. That's what I'll be doing. That's what I'm looking forward to. But no, if I could have choose anything you mentioned, Joker movie would be number one. That's my number one thing that I'm looking forward to.
So curious.
That should be another conversation starter.
Yeah, that's for sure. Try shuttering that one. No way.
Well, looking forward to having that conversation already. We are going to have so much content coming your way from TIFF, Fantastic Fest, and so much more this fall. Haleigh, Rocha, thank you guys so much for being here today. We have Adam in the booth as always, Thad in the live chat. To everybody out there, thank you for watching this edition of Collider Movie Talk. Do not forget to like and share it before you leave, and then pencil it in. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. PT Live. We're going to have a new episode for you. Check it out.